get right into this one. The season finale is here. It just happened. Let's dive right into it. So this skips to probably, I don't know, a day or two tops after the events of the last episode. We see an Ellie still reeling from the events of episode 8, where they just barely escaped David and his cannibalistic cult that he has going on over there. So we see Ellie trying to be the person that she was before, but she's really struggling to overcome what just happened to her. Rightly so. I mean, what happened to her was horrific. Nobody should be forced to go through something like that. And you see Joel, who doesn't really want to ask her what's going on, or maybe he hasn't, maybe he has, but you sort of see him in dad mode, wanting to comfort her, but not really knowing what to do. It's like, Joel, maybe you're saying too much. You're doing too much. Let this girl just deal. Or maybe just give her a hug. There are times throughout this episode where they both seem somewhat uncomfortable in their new roles, probably because they're not sure what these new roles are. You know, before episode 8, they were still just Joel and Ellie travel. They were yet to be, you know, the duo that they are now. So Joel is struggling. He hasn't been a father figure in 20 plus years. And Ellie has never really had a person in her life to care for her like this. To show that, this episode brings you back to when she was born. Her mom looks like she's going to meet up with some fireflies, and she makes it there before the other fireflies. She gets attacked by an infected. She gets bit. It looks as if this is where Ellie gets the cordyceps for the first time. It doesn't fully infect her, but infects her enough to where the cordyceps virus thinks that she is one of them, so they don't attack. She's effectively immune at that point. So you see that Marlene and Ellie's mother have been lifelong friends. And so this is the last request from Ellie's mother to Marlene to take her daughter, put her somewhere safe, and just save her life. Ellie's mother basically begs her to take Ellie with her and to just shoot her before she turns. So reluctantly, she takes Ellie, comes back in the room, executes her best friend, and that's how we see from the very start of Ellie's life effectively been abandoned her whole life. And then Marlene just basically just pushes her off into Fedra school, which I guess you can say that is what saved her life. That is what set her up to be the tough girl that she is today. But it's tough growing up with no one there for you, no one to show you that kind of love and affection growing up. That's got to be not a very fun way to grow older. And next we see Ellie and Joel coming into the cities, into Salt Lake City, Utah. And Ellie is still not really responding to Joel. Maybe Joel doesn't know how. I mean, how do you approach somebody who's been through something like that? Do you do what he does and just let them sort of navigate that on their own? At some point, she would come around, and she sort of does. And that happens when they're climbing a skyscraper, and she just kind of leaves Joel in her dust, almost drops a ladder on his head, and she sees what is pulled right from the game, and that is a scene of giraffe grazing in what looks to be an overgrown baseball field. And for the first time since the last episode, you get to see the child of Ellie come back out and sort of be whole again. And that for Joel is probably the best thing he could have seen. Because that's all he's wanted this whole time, is for Ellie to smile and be the annoying little girl that she was, 2 episodes ago. They continue after the giraffes, and they're walking through an old army camp and sort of exchanging stories, and Joel finally tells her the story of what happened with the scar on his forehead, and that he tried to commit suicide, and really something stopped him from doing it. He doesn't go into much detail about why he stopped or why he didn't go through with it. It is good to see them talking and bringing up more things from their past and being more trusting in this episode. They both know they've been through something traumatic, and at that point they need each other, and that they are home to one another. And you can see Ellie, for the first time, a little bit reluctant to be what Joel sees her as. I don't think it's because she doesn't want to be Joel's new daughter per se. It's because she probably fears that she's not going to be able to live up to what Sarah was. So when he tells her that time didn't heal that wound and gives her that look, and she sort of gives that look back like, thanks, but you can tell she's scared. She's scared of not being able to fill that role for him, and potentially Joel being hurt again and feeling like he's either lets her down or is failing as a father. Not long after this, you see them get gassed by some Firefly soldiers, whatever you want to call them, because they didn't recognize who they were. So when they grab Ellie, they grab Joel, knock him out. He wakes up in the Firefly hospital, and he's basically demanding, he's not asking, he wants to see Ellie. And Marlena tells him, look, this is the way it's gonna be. You have a choice, and it's the easiest choice that Joel has ever made in his life. Marlene makes 2 of her guys, tells him, walk him to the edge of town, give him his pack, let him go on his way. Joel knows that he's not getting Ellie back if he leaves. they're going to kill her. They're going to dig that cordyceps out of her brain, and she's gone. During his way out of the hospital, he makes that decision. It's now or never. And he starts one of the best rampages I've seen on TV. And when it started to go down, it went down. It reminded me of the movie Doom, when Carl Urban's character goes into that first-person view, starts taking them out, all the space zombies, or whatever you want to call them. Joel is locked in. He is sharp as a tack, and he is taking them out with precision. I mean, he can tell that he is not hearing a thing. He is going all on instinct. Turns a corner, turns this corner, shot to the leg, shot to the head, shot to the throat. I mean, he is taking them out with extreme prejudice. And he finally finds his way, and you can see on the way out of the hospital, before he started this, he was looking at the signs to see where he was going to go. He was plotting this course before he knew what he was going to do. There was no choice that he was getting Ellie back. So when he finally finds that room, that pediatric surgery room, he goes in there, gives that doctor one chance. Doctor doesn't want to cooperate, bullet to the head. That's it. You don't get in the way when somebody feels that way about somebody else, about basically their child. And that's what this is to Joel. He takes her, unhooks her from all those machines, finds his way to the garage, because I mean, honestly, it's the Fireflies. I have to have a vehicle. Finds his way to the garage. Marlene is there, which it's a little bit of a strange tactic if you ask me. You know that Joel is not going to go quietly. You know that he's not just going to walk out of here and not cause a scene. And so you decide to go down to the garage because you somehow know that's where he's going to be. You let all your men get murdered inside this hospital. And you just decide, I'm going to go where I know where he's going, just to confront him there because I know all my people are dead. I mean, either you think Joel is the Terminator or you don't give a crap about any of your guys. She's there with Joel, gives him a choice. Joel makes his choice again, pops two in her gut, puts Ellie in the car, pops another one in her head. It's game over for Marlene. This brings us to some of the best character building in the entire season is actually in this last scene towards the end of the episode. Ellie is waking up. She's asking what's happening. Joel is basically just lying to her about what he did and about what just happened with the Fireflies. The car dies. They have to hike back to Tommy's, and just before she finally reveals who she had to kill, and it was Riley. In the flashback episode, it was her best friend, and that sort of sets up the question or the demand. Swear to me that everything you said to me about the Fireflies is true. And he does. He swears that it's true. Now, there are probably going to be two camps about this, because you got to ask the question, did Joel make the right decision to save Ellie? I have a little girl. The decision is easy for me to make, but not everybody's in that situation, and not everybody lost a child and then gained a child and then been put into a position to lose that child again. So to me, the choice is an easy one. I do what Joel did, but Joel is also a far more broken man than I think any of us watching the show is ever going to be. Did Joel do it out of selfishness? Absolutely. But did he do it out of love? Yeah, but sometimes love is ugly. And this show has done such a great job at showing all sides of love, dynamic between good and bad that comes with it. And I know sometimes we lie to our kids to protect them, but another thing that I've talked to people that I know, I've talked to people that I've been with in my life, taking decisions away from other people. And what I mean by that is when you do something behind somebody else's back that takes away their decision to choose where they go with their life after that. Is that right or wrong? And to me, that's fundamentally wrong, because everybody deserves the right to choose what they do in their life. Both Marlene and Joel did that to her, because Ellie went in there thinking that she's going to fulfill her destiny and save the world, but Marlene did not tell her that they were going to cut this out of her brain and basically kill her. If she was going to survive this, she was going to be brain dead, and she kept that from her to keep her from panicking and backing out. So is that a tough decision that needs to be made on a leadership level? Maybe, but is that just as bad or just as good of a decision as what Joel made in saving her and then lying to her after the fact? I mean, that is the great question of this episode, of this series, is what would we do? What would you do? So I think one of the biggest complaints I would have about this series is there really weren't a lot of incidents with clickers or other infected, but I don't think you needed them, because this series really invested you in the people, in the moments. Everything from Pedro Pascal's small emotions and small looks and glances and body movements to his interactions with Ellie in the world. I mean, everything about this, the world that they lived in, the people that were in it, everything was just done to perfection. So I think that the lack of infected, apart from that one episode, doesn't do this show any disservice at all, because this has been some of the best television that I've seen in a long time. Overall, I have to give this series a 9. I mean, it is damn near perfect. There's not a whole lot that you can say that's bad about this series. And debate the dilemma, the questionable ethics in this series down in the comments. Talk to each other, because I think that this is what that's about. This is such a great story that it makes you think as humans, what is right and what's wrong, and how is sometimes what's right wrong, and how is sometimes what's wrong right. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Until next time, until my next video, just be good to one another. I'll see you next time.